The happiest day of my life turned into the most painful one in less than 60 seconds. I had spent years sacrificing weekends, skipping vacations, and working late nights just to buy my first home. Friends filled the living room with laughter, music floated through the air, and for the first time in years, I believed life was finally rewarding my hard work. Then the front door opened. My younger sister, Rebecca, walked inside dragging 2 large suitcases, followed by her husband, Noah, carrying another. Before I could even ask what was happening, my mother smiled as though everything had already been decided and calmly announced, "They're living here now." In that instant, every dream I had built with endless sacrifice began to crumble. Before we continue, if you believe kindness should never mean being taken advantage of, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who loves emotional stories, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing powerful stories that touch the heart. My name is Michael Carter, and this happened in Nashville, Tennessee. Growing up, I was always the dependable child. My father passed away when I was only 16, leaving Mom to raise Rebecca and me alone. I worked after school stocking shelves while my friends played football. Every paycheck went toward groceries, electricity, or Rebecca's school supplies. Mom often reminded me that family always came first, and I believed her with all my heart. I never questioned the sacrifices because I loved them more than anything. Years passed, and I earned a degree in engineering while juggling 2 jobs. I rented tiny apartments, drove an old pickup truck that barely started on cold mornings, and saved every dollar I could. Watching friends buy new cars and enjoy vacations sometimes hurt, but I kept telling myself that one day the struggle would be worth it. That dream finally became real when I bought a beautiful 2-story house on a quiet street lined with maple trees. It wasn't a mansion, but to me it was proof that determination could overcome almost anything. The housewarming party was everything I had imagined. Neighbors introduced themselves with homemade desserts. Friends laughed over old college memories. Soft lights glowed across the backyard while children chased each other across the lawn. For the first time since Dad died, I felt completely at peace. Then Rebecca arrived with those suitcases. Everyone fell silent as they rolled them across the polished hardwood floor. Confused faces turned toward me, expecting an explanation I didn't have. I looked at Rebecca, hoping she would laugh and say it was some strange joke. Instead, she avoided my eyes. Noah looked equally uncomfortable, keeping his head down. My mother stepped forward confidently, almost proudly, and explained that Rebecca and Noah had lost their apartment because Noah had been laid off several months earlier. Their savings had disappeared, and they needed somewhere to stay. Mom had already promised them they could move into my house because, in her words, Michael has plenty of space, and family always helps family. Her words hit harder than any insult ever could. No one had asked me. No one had called. No one had even considered that this house represented years of lonely nights, missed holidays, and impossible sacrifices. I wanted to scream, but dozens of guests stood watching. Instead, I forced a smile that hid the storm inside my chest. I quietly helped carry their bags upstairs while everyone pretended nothing unusual had happened. After the guests left, I sat alone on the back porch staring into the darkness. My mother spoke as though she expected gratitude. She reminded me how much I had always loved helping others. She said Rebecca needed me more than ever. But something inside me felt different. Helping someone by choice is love. Being forced into sacrifice is something else entirely. Over the following weeks, life inside my dream home changed completely. Rebecca and Noah spread into every room. Boxes filled the garage. The guest bedroom became permanent. The kitchen stayed messy from morning until night. Bills increased dramatically. Privacy disappeared. Whenever I mentioned setting a timeline for them to move out, Mom accused me of becoming selfish now that I owned a nice house. Rebecca rarely looked for work because she believed they needed time to recover emotionally. Noah applied to a few jobs but gradually seemed comfortable with the arrangement. Every evening after work, I parked outside my own house and sat in my truck for several minutes before walking inside. The place no longer felt like home. One rainy afternoon, I found Dad's old photograph sitting inside a moving box that had somehow ended up in the garage. Looking at his smiling face reminded me of something he often said before he died. Being generous never means losing yourself. I realized I had misunderstood what family loyalty actually meant. That weekend, I invited everyone to the dining table. My hands shook because confrontation had never been easy for me. I explained calmly that I loved them deeply, but this arrangement couldn't continue forever. I offered to help Noah update his resume, help Rebecca find work, and even pay for 3 months of rent once they found a place of their own. But they needed to start building their own future. Silence filled the room. Mom looked disappointed. Rebecca began crying. Noah finally spoke honestly for the first time. He admitted he had been embarrassed for months. Losing his job had crushed his confidence, and staying in my home had become easier than facing failure. Hearing him say those words changed everything. Instead of arguing, we started planning. Every morning before work, Noah and I searched job listings together. Rebecca updated her skills through free online courses. I watched both of them slowly regain hope. Progress wasn't immediate, but it was real. 2 months later, Noah accepted a position with a logistics company. Rebecca found work managing a small boutique downtown. They smiled more often. They laughed again. Most importantly, they stopped seeing themselves as victims. Exactly 93 days after arriving with those suitcases, they packed them again. This time, they were leaving. When Rebecca hugged me goodbye, tears streamed down her face. She admitted she had wanted to refuse Mom's plan from the beginning but felt too desperate to think clearly. She apologized for letting my kindness become an expectation instead of a gift. Mom also surprised me. She quietly admitted she had made a mistake by deciding my future without asking my permission. She had believed she was protecting one child without realizing she was hurting another. For the first time in many years, she apologized not as a parent demanding obedience but as someone willing to admit she had been wrong. That apology healed something inside me I didn't even realize had been broken. Months later, our family gathered again for Thanksgiving. This time, everyone brought food instead of luggage. Rebecca and Noah proudly talked about decorating their own apartment. Noah smiled with the confidence of someone who had rebuilt his life through determination instead of dependency. Mom looked around the table with quiet gratitude instead of expectation. As I watched everyone laughing together, I realized something important. The house had never been the real dream. Peace was. Healthy boundaries had not destroyed our family. They had saved it. Sometimes the most loving word we can say isn't yes. Sometimes love requires the courage to say, I will help you stand, but I cannot carry you forever. That lesson transformed every relationship in my life. I became kinder without becoming weaker. More generous without losing myself. More loving without surrendering my own future. Years later, when Rebecca's children visited my home, they often asked why Uncle Michael's house always felt so peaceful. Rebecca would simply smile and tell them that every home becomes stronger when love is built on respect instead of obligation. I would quietly look around the same living room where those unexpected suitcases had once shattered my happiness. Now, instead of remembering the pain, I remembered the lesson. Because sometimes the greatest gift we can give the people we love is not unlimited rescue, but the chance to discover their own strength. If this story touched your heart, please write in the comments, real love includes healthy boundaries. We'd love to read your thoughts. And if this story inspired you or reminded you of someone in your own life, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel, and leave a heartfelt comment below. Your support allows us to keep sharing emotional stories that remind us all that kindness is strongest when it walks hand in hand with wisdom. Thank you for watching, and may your home always be filled with love, respect, and hope.